Listen here. Doesn't matter if a man's a lawyer, a comic, or a king. No one can escape the grave. All you can do is try and find your purpose before you're locked in the box. My job? Stop the people trying to put you there too soon. For your listening pleasure comes another exciting episode of The Adventures of Hamlet Bodkin, brought to you by Pearl Brand Wine, the only proper choice for the queen in your life. And now, this week's episode, The Case of Fortune's Fate. It was about closing time at the office. The sky had been dark most of the day and I hardly noticed the sun's passing from it. I'd spent the entire afternoon looking over my most recent case. I'd been investigating the death of a fellow named Harold Frazier, went by the King. He was the head of a big service station chain that was on the rise called King Stations. The King's body was found washed up on the riverbank. The death ruled a suicide. A fellow by the name of Bernard, an old friend of the King, called me up. Said he thought something was fishy about the whole thing, and it wasn't just the body lying in the morgue. I agreed, decided to look into it. I'd gone through a whole pack of cigarettes and was tossing back another glass of whiskey when two bug-eyed boys burst into my office, jittery and pale. Something had scared these boys straight out of their pants.
Are you the P.I., Hamlet Bodkin?
You found him?
Sir, I'm Horatio. This is my companion, Marcellus.
Good to meet you. But unless you boys have something really good, I'd like to be getting home.
Well, Bodkin, I think we have something you'll really want to hear.
Spit it out then.
We saw him. Out on the docks, we saw him walking around.
Who, boy? Who?
It was the King, Harold Frazier.
What? You're sure?
I'm a priest, sir. The man used to take confession with me. Sometimes we just sit and chat, you know. I'd recognize him anywhere.
When did you see him last? And where was it exactly?
It was somewhere near the old shipyard, just half an hour ago.
I grabbed my coat, thanked my sources while showing them out, and rushed to my car. I made my way to the shipyard as fast as my lead foot could take me. It didn't take me long to find him. He'd remained close to the shipyard, staring out over the water. For a moment, I truly considered it might be the ghost of the King, the moonlight gleaming off his rain-spattered coat. The illusion wore off when the moon once again faded behind the clouds and I could see he was nothing but a man. I came up beside him and followed his gaze. Pleasant night out, isn't it?
It is. I just thought it might be less populated. There isn't usually much foot traffic through here. I guess everyone has been waiting for this one night. What's your business here?
I'm a private investigator. The name's Hamlet Bodkin. I'm out looking for a fella, goes by the name of the King. That's when I finally got a good look at his face. He looked at me frightened before shooting his gaze back off into the distance. It was him, all right.
This person's missing, you say?
I didn't. I just said I was looking for him. He's actually supposed to be dead. A friend of his asked me to look into it. Didn't like the taste of it.
Good. It's just Bernard. I was afraid it was going to be someone unruly.
So what are you doing here, Frazier? Is being dead so bad you had to come back?
I faked it all, Bodkin.
Well, I figured that much.
It was my brother Claudius. He's been my second in command at the company for years. I had no idea.
Yeah?
He'd been eyeing my position for a long time. I didn't take it that seriously until he sent someone to kill me, the coward. I barely subdued the fellow before he could take me out. I dressed him up in my clothes and I tossed him in the river. Claudius didn't want anyone looking into it, so he paid off the cops and made sure the autopsy ruled it a suicide.
And what now, Frazier? What's next for you? What's next for him?
Right now, I don't exist, while he runs my company and sleeps next to my wife.
The dame left you? What a shame.
Don't you dare.
Listen here, King. I want to help your situation. I want to get back what's yours. I want you back in the driver's seat of your empire. So tell me, what is it I need to do for you?
Bust this thing wide open, Mudkin. You do that and I can be at peace.
Why can't you do it? Show everyone you're alive. Tell the newspapers what your brother's been up to.
I can't come out. I value my life too much for that. Besides, the cops are on his side. It's going to take some hard evidence before they realize they can't fight us.
Alright, I'm your man. We parted ways and I stopped to watch him walk down the bay shore. There have been plenty of times when people considered the question to live or to die. Through death, this man was able to live, and he felt every bit of pain that life could throw at him. I know what that's like. Being a PI ain't an easy job, but it's worth every bit of crud I've put up with. I don't often consider ending the suffering of gunshots and baseball bats. For me, I'm always prepared to be. I'd been investigating the case for about a week. I'd snooped everywhere there was to snoop and thumbed through every file there was to thumb through. This guy Claudius was good at covering his tracks. That's when I received the invitation. It showed up on my desk after my lunch break. It was on a heavy paper, the kind rich people use to let you know they're rich. I opened it to find a short note in feminine handwriting. It said, "Meet me at the Jester's Skull Bar tonight at 9. I have some information regarding your case." It was signed Gertrude, aka the Queen. I didn't know what I was in for, but I wasn't about to miss this opportunity. I got down to the bar as quick as I could. I made my way inside. As soon as I did, I was approached by some nameless lackey in Claudius's ranks.
"Are you Hamlet, the PI?
You've said it, and you must be the fishmonger I've been looking for.
Sir?
Never mind, where is she?
She's got in a private room for you to converse in. Please, follow me."
Not to the grave, I hope.
"Ah, Monsieur Bodkin, do have a seat. Would you like a drink?"
Yeah, sure. Martini.
"So, Hamlet, may I call you Hamlet?"
I prefer it.
"Good. You're probably wondering why I called you here.
A little, yeah.
You think you're very sly, don't you, Monsieur Hamlet?"
I'd like to think so, yes.
"You're not so sly as you think. Did you think you could hide your investigation from Claudius?"
I didn't know I was supposed to be.
"Oh, that is something that is a must. Claudius has connections. He has power. He knows that you are investigating him and he does not like it one bit."
Did you call me here just to scare me?
"No, to warn you. Leave this case alone before it's too late for you."
I can't do that, Gertie. I've already got a foot in the door and I'm not about to let go of that leverage.
"That is a big mistake, Hamlet."
Almost as big as running to your brother-in-law's bed after your husband is killed. Off to the side, behind a curtain, I heard the light click of a gun cocking. Instinct kicked in, and I pulled out my piece and swiftly fired in that direction. Dead silence. Then, a moment later, a fella staggered out from behind the curtain and fell dead on the floor. Gertrude was obviously shaken, but didn't seem too disturbed or horrified. She'd probably started to grow accustomed to that sort of thing living with Claudius. I crouched beside the dead man. Poor fool. Should have known better than to cock a gun out of view of a war veteran. What's the big idea, Gertie? You called me here just to warn me and then kill me if I didn't heed it?
"I didn't know he was there. Claudius must have sent him. I swear I didn't ask him to come."
I stood and tossed back the martini before putting my hat on. I'm not sure I can believe a word you say anymore. By the way, you might want to have this cleaned up. I'd finally done it. Every bit of dirt, every illegal act I could get on Claudius, put down in one single file. I was about to go to the papers with it. The whole thing was about to be over, and the king could finally come back. That's when I got the call. Hamlet Bodkin, P.I.
Bodkin, be at King Station headquarters by noon, or the king himself gets one in the gut.
I knew it was true. If they knew Fraser was alive, it wouldn't have been hard to find him. I made a quick call to my man at the paper, telling him where to find the file in case something happened to me. I grabbed my piece from the drawer and set out to finish what I feared might be my last case. When I arrived at the headquarters, I found a whole procession waiting for me. They confiscated my gun and led me around back. There sat Claudius and Gertrude side by side, the former smiling at me wickedly. Near them was the king, held on each arm by a henchman. In front of all of them was a lean man with wild eyes staring me down as I approached. Claudius addressed me when I came to a stop where the henchman instructed me.
It is a great honor to finally meet the famous detective, Mr. Hamlet Bodkin.
I can assure you, the pleasure is all yours.
Oh, come now, Hamlet. Can't you respect me for what I have accomplished?
I can't. Didn't take a lick of skill on your part, and you got it done in the dirtiest way possible. Believe me, I know.
Yes, so I've heard. And this is why you are here today. You've been prying for far too long into things that are not your business. Now, you will pay.
Sorry, I didn't bring my wallet. Maybe I can send you a check some other time.
You are very amusing, my friend. It is almost a shame that you must die. This man before you is the deadliest man in my ranks. His name is Laertes. It will be you and him, to the death.
Sounds like fun. In what manner will this duel take place?
Swordplay.
Ah, that's a shame. I haven't worked on my swordplay since 1603.
Well, my boy Laertes is a master fencer. You had better shake the dust off. Now, pick your weapon.
All right, I'm ready.
Opponents ready? Fight! Good, Laertes.
Come on, Hamlet.
No! My Laertes! You cannot have beaten him!
As soon as I had pulled the blade from my opponent, Claudius took my own gun from his henchman and fired a shot at me. I dove beside the queen to avoid it. Another rang out and she fell dead from her seat. I was pinned with Claudius bearing down on me. That's when the last shot was fired, and Claudius fell dead to the ground. I looked back and saw the king holding one of the henchman's guns. In response, all of the henchmen pulled out their own weapons and aimed them at us. Enough! Your boss is dead. There's nothing more for you. Put down your weapons. If you leave the city now, you might escape the arrests. Silence fell as the men weighed their options. Then all at once, they took off, never to grace the city of New York again. I was still holding my bleeding side as I stood and went over to the king. Do you think you're ready to be again, King?
Yes, I do believe it's about time I come back to life.
Remember, when you're sitting back on your throne, the lust for power is a potent poison. Don't let it take you like it took your brother. Fortune is a strumpet. She doesn't have loyalties to anyone, and she'll turn on you in a heartbeat if you don't watch out.
Don't worry about it too much, Hamlet. Death has a way of purifying a man.
Aye, that it does.
We thank you for joining us for this episode of The Adventures of Hamlet Bodkin, and we hope you will return next week to tune in for for his next case, Mortals, Fools, and Fairy Tales.